Howdy everybody, welcome back to Combo Compendium. I've been in the process of moving houses the past couple weeks, so I haven't really had time to sit down and really record anything or upload anything. But I have some time now to go ahead and just go over these new Tachyon cards, which I'm really excited about playing. I've been playing them in Master Duel. They haven't come out in TCG yet, and 7th Tachyon is going to be an expensive card, so maybe I'll wait for a reprint. But the deck has some really cool plays. It's kind of like playing Galaxy Eyes, but the deck actually has starters, which is a crazy concept, I know, to have a Galaxy Eyes starter. So let's just go ahead and start off with one of the one-card combos. This is going to be with Schwarzchild Seyfert. Now, Schwarzchild Seyfert, we all know what it does. You tribute itself to basically just summon a level 4 dragon, or not summon, but search. So we're going to search this Card Cloudragon, and this card is basically Poplar, so when you add it, if you add it to hand, you can summon it, and then you contribute it to summon a Tachyon from the deck. And that's basically all the important part. So we're going to go ahead and summon it out, and we're going to summon the Tachyon Primal. Now this card's crazy. So if a Dragon Xyz declares an attack, it has 2 mandatory attached to it. If a Dragon Xyz monster is on the field, quick effect, you can special this from your hand. That being a quick effect is important. And if this card is normal or special summoned, the owner of the card adds 1 Tachyon spell trap from their deck to their hand. So what that means is even if you summon this to your opponent's field, you are still the owner of the card, so you still get to search. And that can be relevant for multiple reasons. Number 1 is that this card is a once per turn per player. So you can summon it to your field, get a search, and then on the same turn summon it to your opponent's field, and then they trigger it to search because it's mandatory. So you can technically use this card's effect twice in one turn, which is really cool. So we're going to go ahead and use the effect. We're going to grab 7th Tachyon. Now what we're going to do with this is we're going to grab Afterglow Dragon. Now we can go ahead and summon out the Afterglow. Go into the Dragluxion. Dragluxion, if it's specialed from the extra deck, you can add a Galaxy or Tachyon card from your deck to your hand. So this can bridge into a lot of your Galaxy plays, which is really nice. It means Galaxy has 1-card starters now to get into engine pieces, which is great. You can detach 2 materials to basically rank up this into a rank 8 Dragon Xyz. That's basically what it does. So we're going to go ahead and just grab a Transmigration. This is an old card. If you control a Galaxy Eyes, you can activate as Chainlink 2, negate the activations of your opponent's spell traps or monster effects activated before this card in the chain. And if you do, shuffle the card into the deck. And if you have Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon, you can activate this from hand. So this is cool because it gets around your opponent chain blocking effects because it negates all card effects in the chain. Which is really, it's honestly kind of a crazy ass concept. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and overlay the Dragluxion into the Tachyon Dragon. Now, the Tachyon Dragon's effect really isn't that great. You kind of just have it on field to have the name right, so that you can use Migration from hand. This deck is pretty good at playing around Nibiru, because this is the 4th summon, and we searched the Omni-Negate trap, right? So, by this point, our opponent can't Nibiru us, but we do have the trap in hand if the opponent does try to Nibiru. So now we can trigger the Afterglow. Since it was detached from the Dragluxion, we can special a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from deck. So we're going to go ahead and summon him out. And then we can use our Seyfert Engrave to add this Primal back to hand. And because we didn't use the Primal effect to special summon, we summoned it off of the Cloud Dragon, right? So if we add this back to hand, we can special summon it. And then we can overlay for a Photon Lord. Now, Photon Lord is a monster negate, right? Everybody knows that. But during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can take a Photon or Galaxy card from your deck and then add it to your hand. So that's going to be really nice. Photon Lord is a warrior. It's not a dragon. There are some cards in this deck that lock you into dragons, but for this combo specifically, you can make Photon Lord, which the monster negate is just really nice to have. So we end on 2 negates here, right? But what we can do now is during our opponent's draw phase, we can use Photon Lord to add this Primal. And because Primal is a quick effect, we can go ahead and special it out and then search another Transmigration, right? Now you can summon this to the opponent's field if you know that they're playing some kind of deck where they require, you know, no monsters on field or specific monsters on field. For example, Kashtira, if you give this to your opponent playing Kashtira, I mean, they're just screwed. Decks like Melodious, Exosister, I mean, any deck that gets messed up by having an out-of-archetype card on their field. So, this is our inboard just off of a Starliege Seyfert, right? We got a monster negate and then 2 Omni negate traps from hand. And this is an Omni negate and it shuffles back into the deck, so it doesn't trigger any cards in the graveyard, or it doesn't leave anything on field. So it's a really broken counter trap. And you get all this off of 1 card, right? Alright, so now for some of the Bystial combos using little Cloudragon here. This is going to be for the Bystial version of the deck, so if you don't want to run a lot of the Galaxy Eyes stuff, which I don't blame you. Alright, so we're going to normal summon it out, use its effect, summon Primal. Primal's going to add 7th. We're going to use 7th here to add Lubellion. Crazy that it can do that, right? Because you reveal Tachyon, which is a light dragon. Lubellion's a light dragon. It's pretty nuts that you can just do that. Alright, so we're going to get Lubellion, search Magnamut. Magnamut, we're going to go ahead and banish this Cloudragon. Magnamut to search during end phase, tag it out for Lubellion. Lubellion's going to get regained. What you can also do here is get Saronir if you want to play Branded Beast, so you can play Beast and Regained. But if you want to keep the package smaller, you can just play just the Regained. Now we're going to go ahead and use Dragluxion. We're going to get our Migration. We're going to rank up into Tachyon. End phase, we're going to get our Magnamut search for Primal. And then during our opponent's turn, we can summon it out, and then grab our second Migration. So you get 2 negates just off of that, and you get Regained in rotation, so whenever your opponent summons a monster, you can use Regained, summon back the Magnamut, and then Magnamut can search again during the end phase. And of course, if you have any other Bystials in hand, Regained, being able to banish something and then draw a card, I mean, it's pretty good for a 1-card combo. It's not an insane end board, but you do get 2 negates and a ton of card advantage. So if you want to play, you know, more grindy style, the Bystial engine is going to be for you. Alright, so taking a step back from the 1-card combos, this deck does have more 1-card combos, but let's just go ahead and get rid of, or not get rid of, but get out of the way some of the Bystial lines. So this is going to be Seyfert plus Lubellion. Now we're going to go ahead and start with our Seyfert just to go ahead and get our Galaxy engine rolling. Because the best thing about the Galaxy engine is that you can get a negate pretty early. We can get out our Primal here. Go ahead and use Lubellion to get our Magnamut. Magnamut banish the Cloudragon. Get our end phase search. And then we can Lubellion, tag out, get our Regained, make Dragluxion, add our Migration. Overlay into the Tachyon Dragon, so now we're playing around Nibiru. And you can sequence this differently if you want to, depending on your hand. Like if you really want the Lubellion to resolve, you can go ahead and get the Tachyon and the Migration using different cards before you go into, you know, your Lubellion. It just depends on your hand. Yep, so now we can go ahead and use Seyfert here, which actually triggers the regain, so now we get a random draw. And now we can use our 7th Tachyon, add Schwarzchild, which this is also a 1-card starter. I'll get to this later. But it says if you control no monsters or your opponent controls a monster with 2,000 or more attack, special summon this card from your hand and then a level 8 light or dark dragon from your deck in defense, but then you're locked into dragons from the extra deck for the rest of the turn. So we're going to do that. We're going to put back our random draw off the regained. And then we're going to summon this primal to our opponent's field. Use its effect a second time this turn to get our 2nd migration. And then this will, since our opponent has a monster now, we can use Schwarzchild to summon it out and our Spiral Dragon. And we're going to overlay these for Seyfert Dragon. Now, Seyfert Dragon says you can detach a material, target a face-up monster your opponent controls, and then take control of it. So we're going to go ahead and grab this Tachyon Primal. We're going to use Spiral Dragon to summon back. And then this is going to make Hope Harbinger for our spell negate. And then we can overlay this Seyfert Dragon for Seyfert X. Now this card isn't an interruption, but it is pretty annoying because once per turn, let's see, detach 2 materials from this card. Your opponent cannot target light monsters you control with card effects until the end of your opponent's turn. And then once per turn during your standby phase, you can return a rank 9 or lower Xyz from your graveyard, and then special summon that monster from your extra deck using this card as material. So this card's really cool because if your Galaxy, your Hope Harbinger gets outed, or your Tachyon Dragon gets outed, this can tag back into it during your standby phase. So if you're only playing one Hope Harbinger and it gets destroyed, this card lets you recycle it if it stays alive. Which, it's 4,000 and untargetable, so against certain decks you might actually be able to just keep it alive. So we're going to use its effect, and now our entire board is untargetable, which is pretty annoying for some decks to deal with. And then of course during end phase, don't forget your Magnamut search, so we get a Druis Worm here, which is great because we can, you know, obviously use it to banish a card from our opponent's graveyard, and then regained can get us to draw a card. Now unfortunately in this deck there isn't a way to really get Druis Worm off of the field during your opponent's turn, unless you're playing, you know, Beast and Saronir to get Beast on field easier. But just having it for the negate, or having it for the banish is nice. Alternatively, you can get Baldrake. Yeah, you can get Baldrake here. So you can summon Baldrake, regained will summon back Magnamut, and then Baldrake is also like a negation, right? If your opponent summons from the extra deck, you contribute that Magnamut away to banish whatever they summon from that extra deck. So that can be also an additional interruption. Alright, so now let's talk about Schwarzchild Dragon. So as I said, this is another starter, so this deck has plenty of 1-card starters and also some 2-card combos as well. This is probably the best one. It's very non-committal, and your opponent pretty much has to have the Ash Blossom for it, because it just summons from deck and summons from hand, and there's really nothing your opponent can do about it other than Ash. And maybe Impulse, I guess. It doesn't require you to really commit to any plays to activate, and if it resolves, you just get so much advantage. So we're going to go ahead and use its effect. Summon out it and Afterglow, and overlay into our Drugluxion. Now this is going to be a lot more of a standard play, and I'll go over some other ones later. So we're just going to use its effect, detach, summon out this Primal, and if you chain the Primal to its effect, you can actually chain block the Primal search. I don't really know of any situation where that would come up, but you can. Alright, so we're going to use Afterglow to summon Photon Dragon, and then Primal to grab Transmigration. And keep in mind, at any point, you know, this can all change depending on your hand. You might want to grab 7th Tachyon to get like a Lubellion into rotation. you know, if you're playing against a deck that loses to Bystials pretty hard, getting your Lubellion and Regained into rotation is just broken. So then we just make Hope Harbinger, and then we have our Hope Harbinger plus our Tachyon. And keep in mind, again, all of this is done with just this card and without using your normal summon. So if you have any normal summon like a Seyfert or a Cloudragon, you can extend even further beyond this. This is just a very simple card off of the Schwarzchild. Alright, so this is going to be a combo that leans more into the Bystial aspect. So we're going to go ahead and use this, summon out the Spiral. And I've done this multiple times throughout the video, but the difference between like Afterglow and Spiral for the sake of the combos isn't really different, because it's basically just giving you an extra level 8 body. It just depends which one you want to use, or which one is in your hand. And Afterglow can set up OTKs with like Prime Photon and stuff. So I do play both in the deck. They're kind of interchangeable, it just kind of depends on the situation. So we're going to summon these two out, go for Decklist. We're going to grab 7th here, like I said. We're going to go ahead and overlay for Tachyon. We're going to use 7th to grab Lubellion. And then we can use Lubellion just to go ahead and pivot into our Bystials. Magnemite in-phase search, summon out Lubellion, grab Regained, and then use Spiral Dragon to summon out, so now we can make another rank 8, which is our Hope Harbinger. And during end phase, we can get our Magnemite search for Primal, and then since this is a quick effect, still during our end phase, we can go ahead and use it to summon out and grab our Transmigration. So it's the same board, but we get our Regained plus Magnemite into rotation, so just infinite card advantage with these two cards with our board. And then finally, to go ahead and round out the video here, we have pretty much the God combo of this deck, which is Schwarzchild plus any of your normal summon starters like Seyfert or Cloudragon. This is going to be the ideal start, because what we can do is go ahead and use the Schwarzchild to summon out the Spiral, and make Decklist and add the Migration, and then overlay this for the Tachyon Dragon. So now basically we have our Omni Negates set up without committing our normal summons. So we can just insulate the rest of our plays from, you know, Nibiru and maybe any other hand traps they might have saved up until this point. So we can go ahead and summon out the Seyfert, add the Cloudragon, special Cloudragon, effect to summon Primal, Primal to add 7th. 7th, you can shuffle back a card to add Lubellion, use Lubellion to add Magnemite, or if you want Beast, you can get Saronir if you're playing that stuff. We can go ahead and Magnemite, banish Cloudragon, in-phase search, summon Lubellion, get our Regained online, and then we can summon out Spiral, and then overlay these two for Titanic Galaxy. And then during the end phase, well, you can use, use Seyfert to banish itself to add back the Schwarzchild. So now we have follow-up for next turn, because we can add our Primal off of Magnemite. And then during our opponent's draw phase, summon out the Primal, and then grab your second Tachyon Transmigration. So this is pretty much everything, right? We have our Spell Trap Negate, we have both our Omni Negates, we have Regained in rotation with our Magnemite. I mean, we just have so much advantage. Regained can draw a card if a card gets banished. It's the full setup and you get so much advantage. And by this point, you're going to have 3 random cards in hand, so could be more hand traps, because this deck does have quite a good amount of space for hand traps. So you could potentially be looking at like 2 Migrations and then like, you know, Ash Valor or something like that. So, I mean, you can set up a lot. and any additional Bystials in hand just make things even better. So that'll do it for this video. I just wanted to kind of run through this real quick since I don't really have a whole lot of time. But this is my current Tachyon Bystial deck list. You can see we have the 3 Primal, 3 Lubellion. You know what, I'm gonna go ahead and just take out the Saronir to throw in the Baldrake, because Baldrake is an interruption on its own. Better than Saronir, because if you're not playing Beast, there's really no reason to play Saronir over Baldrake. So I got the 3 Seyfert and the 3 Cloudragon, so we have 6 normal summons. Some people only play 2 Cloudragon because you don't want too many normal summons, and technically these are the same card, basically. Although Seyfert is much better because of its graveyard effect. But I play 3 of each just to guarantee that every hand is going to see a normal summon. And then of course you have the Schwarzchilds, you have the Afterglow Photon combo. Turn 1, you pretty much always want to summon Spiral off of the Infinity Dragon, but when you're going second, or when you're trying to OTK turn 3, being able to summon out Afterglow into Photon Dragon gives you so much damage, especially with like a Prime Photon Dragon. I mean, it does insane damage. If you can't get to your Numeron Dragon, that is, because Numeron Dragon kind of just wins games on its own for no reason. And then you see we have quite a good amount of space for non-engine as well. So we have 3, 6, 9, 12. You can count the Bystials as non-engine as well against certain decks like Fiendsmith. So 15. We have a Called By in here. We have a Prosperity in here. Prosperity's not super good comboed with Talents and Regained, but it is really nice just to be able to find whatever your missing combo piece is. Like if you're missing the Infinity Dragon, finding that is really good. Or if you're missing a normal summon, being able to find one of these is really good. But it's kind of personal preference if you want to play the Prosperity. You can just cut it and play something like this. But going over 40 in this deck doesn't feel that bad, because there are cards you don't want to draw, like Spiral and Photon Dragon. But luckily you can put those back into the deck with 7th, so even when you draw them, as long as you find some type of engine, you can just put them back in the deck, and then you're not too concerned about it anymore. And then 2 Migration, I don't think you need any more than 2 Migration. It just gets bricky, and you always just search the 2 anyway, and usually that's enough to win you the game. And then the extra deck, kind of up to personal preference. This is what I've been rocking. 2 Tachyon, 2 Drugluxion, and then just 1-ofs of all the other cards. What's that card? Yeah, Delta Wing. At one point I played Delta Wing in here as like an additional 1-card starter, because this is a 1-card combo into Galaxy Photon Dragon, which searches your Primal. You can summon out Primal, add 7th, and then 7th add Lubellion, and then that gets you into Drugluxion and all your other stuff. So this is another option for like a 1-card combo. Although keep in mind, it does actually lock you into lights. So now that I think about it, you don't get the Lubellion, you get Afterglow, and then that gets you into Drugluxion. So this deck has a lot of different options, and that's kind of all I wanted to go over today.